Hey, conscious breathers, breath family, grand day. Today we are tapping into old churches, hence scalar temples. What's going on? So now we live on a planet called Earth, which is a huge scalar system in itself. Don't you love nature? This is why scalar works. It's simple. It's simple. It just follows natural law. That's simple. It's just the more that man wanted to create its own law and thinks it or that consciousness or that aspect is not a part of natural law. I'm not even going to go say against, but just not a part of natural law. It's like those who tend to steer in a total different direction than natural law. I think that in itself, like you're meeting your karma at a faster pace. And regardless of meeting karma, I mean, karma comes in all different shapes and sizes, but what I mean by in the aspect of karma, I mean just that lesson, just a lesson of going against natural law. That lesson comes a lot faster, and it comes at a really fast pace in manifested quote unquote dis-ease, because the dis-ease comes from abstaining from the natural rhythm. Why are you dis-ease when you're shifting into those different phases of rhythm? It's because you're out of tune. When more or the most or just natural law in general is govern a certain direction, like it's all directions, actually, all different directions, right? That's how powerful life is, and how merciful the breath is in itself. The breath is so full of mercy. It'll feed it'll feed a robber. It'll feed the worst kind of people that is viewed wrong. That is viewed in a different light within society. No matter, regardless, it's feeding all life. No matter if you did that person wrong or that person wrong, the breath has such mercy. What it's really doing, it's like, hey, did you learn your lesson? Are you gonna use life spirit in a different manner than what you created in a downward spiral? And it's just gonna keep on asking. Well, it doesn't have to ask. It's just like, how you gonna use it? How are you going to use it? I trust that we all get different messages in different times, and that's the beauty of the human system, or the human design. That's the beauty of the human design. What do I mean by natural law? Natural occurrence that will always be. Natural occurrence that will always be. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that question. That is natural law. Natural occurrence that has always been, that will always be. The article today, I was reading the article today said, the sun is angry. I'm like, how do you know the sun is angry? This isn't nothing new. This is some different-ish. The fact that the sun is quote-unquote spinning a lot faster, creating a vortex a lot faster, and what do you think and how do you think that vortex is responding in a certain way? How do you think? You think it's going against a particular flow? No. It's going in the quote-unquote right direction. Wink, wink. It's flowing in the right direction. End of story. That's natural law. Whew. I just gave you a beautiful gem that will forever change your life in the aspect of the natural occurrence of how life is sprouted down to the atom. And when it's destructive, it goes the opposite direction. So when I work with people with sickle cell, I get them to do a particular exercise that creates a vortex of, quote unquote, the blood in the, quote unquote, right direction, which is so important. All right, so this is a very, very old temple, super ancient temple. And look what it's doing. And notice how the birds are reacting as well. So let me ask you a question. Where do you think all this energy is going? You think it's just lighting up that little lantern over there? No. And look, it's actually spinning. It's spinning. It's rotating. And you can actually hear the electrical input that is going in the background a little bit. And look at the birds. I want you to look at the birds. Look at that. So you think back then, our ancestors were just, let's go fight with sticks and stones and go hunt down this and do this and that. We have today's scientists, quote unquote, today's scientists, finally saying that octopus, well, they started with the dolphins, and till this day, they still can't decipher the damn dolphin. They still can't decipher the damn dolphin. They're literally serious. Yo, they have to use sonic vibrations to literally decipher dolphin. And they're still doing it, by the way. They're still doing this. And they're using actually the same mechanism towards babies. So there is a theory out there that says we're not even from planet Earth. There is a theory out there. And when you look at Sumerian tablets, when you look at the guy that's swimming and he has that tank on his back, are these people from the future, or like, what's going on here? And you see the helicopter as well in there as well on some of the tablets, these ancient tablets. So I say that to say, I don't think our quote-unquote ancient ancestors were as primitive as history books will let it out to be. My thing is, instead of huts or certain things, this actually makes more sense. And in the aspect of them living a lot longer, to formulate something so magnificent and energetically harmonious to the earth, by the way. Yeah, it's pretty hard to convince me at this point that our ancient ancestors were as primitive as cavemen beings, etc., etc. No. And let's talk about dark matter.
Today, modern version of wired electricity used to run typical labor-saving devices, and you pay for.
This is how I actually came up with the name Black Airbender, because the concept of antiquitech is using
architectural form and shape to attract the natural static electrical charge.
When I went 30 days dry
to tap into the atmospheric
or 30 days no food, no water, for the first time, I could see the light within the darkness as it interacts with my breath.
Very badly called, and a much more subtle force of nature. So at present, science, as I said, they call this dark matter to explain. They're trying to explain it, but they're always keeping us like on the edge of our seats, and they go into all sorts of mumbo jumbo in the jungle stuff, because that's what official scientists do. I do not agree with you, and you're just, it's a pity that we have to live in such a world where everything is such a huge hypocrisy. But that's official science, and that's all the stuff with dark matter, and they do not want to actually today modern version of wired electricity used to run typical labor saving devices, and you pay money for using that energy. The concept of antiquitech is using architectural form and shape to attract the natural static electrical charge present in the atmosphere to tap into the atmospheric etheric energy. Therefore we call it AEE, or dark matter as they call it in the universities today. Very badly called, and a much more subtle force of nature. So at present, science, as I said, they call this dark matter to explain. They're trying to explain it, but they're always keeping us like on the edge of our seats, and they go into all sorts of mumbo jumbo in the jungle stuff, because that's what official scientists do. I do not agree with you, and you're just, it's a pity that we have to live in such a world where everything is such a huge hypocrisy. But it's like when you study history and you're researching stuff, and you have this feeling about these fancy classical stone structures covered with fussy carvings and intricate aerials and colossal columns and enormous entryways, and you ask yourself the question, at least myself, was all that necessary? Because why would our forefathers, as per official history goes, exert such a Herculean effort back in the old days with only human beast power aided by pulleys and levers, according to the official history, right? So certainly all that effort could gone into more practical or municipal or military projects, for example. But every great city, as you can see in America and across the world in different continents, contains intricately decorated monumental architecture built at great expense and with great effort. Let's start digging a bit more in this field, and this gave me the interest and the truth that this recurring architecture worldwide wasn't random or mere imitation. These elements all add up to something that involves a structure of power, free energy, the kind of stuff that the controllers of this day and age do not want you to know, or myself as well. So let's see. The drawing, how you draw electricity from the atmosphere, could be relatively simple if your city
what everyone
and the
else
design
thinks
of the buildings
free
was
energy
planned
really
with
is.
buildings designed to properly attract, collect, and dispense the accumulated current or energy from the atmosphere. And all this stuff is called antiquitech. So antiquitech is the extra official name given to these buildings made specially for attracting energy. Keep in mind,
technology.
we're not talking about the conventional today modern version of wired electricity used to run typical labor saving devices, and you pay money for using that energy. The concept of antiquitech is using architectural form and shape to attract the natural static electrical charge present in the atmosphere to tap into the atmospheric etheric energy. Therefore we call it AEE, or dark matter as they call it in the universities today. Very badly called, and a much more subtle force of nature. So at present, science, as I said, they call this dark matter to explain. They're trying to explain it, but they're always keeping us like on the edge of our seats, and they go into all sorts of mumbo jumbo in the jungle stuff, because that's what official scientists do. I do not agree with you, and you're just it's a pity that we have to live in such a world where everything is such a huge hypocrisy. But that's official science, and that's all the stuff with dark matter, and they do not want to actually say it's free energy out there and we could live a happy life. But yeah, we cannot, we are not allowed, because we're sheep. So that's it. So the theory goes that if properly harvested, antiquitech could harness and channel the atmospheric etheric energy into buildings to generate light, regulate temperature, and create an energy field that cures everything and sterilizes all sorts of bacteria in the human body and brain. And to grasp the idea of how architecture can harness power via atmospheric etheric energy, you can focus on the places of worship, like we call cathedrals, churches, mosques, and synagogues. So the basic strategy of harvesting the atmospheric energy is to build a nice tall tower, or 2 towers or more towers like you see in Russia, topped with aerials, which we call them antennas, let's say so, and made of conductive material fashioned to attract the atmospheric etheric energy charge from the atmospheric static electricity field and channel that stuff into the structure itself. So once you have the antennas, that's the first step. You can have them in different shapes and forms. Second part of the formula to accumulate the atmospheric etheric energy is to place a dome connected to the antenna, underneath the antenna. And then with the connection between that antenna and the dome.
Uh-oh. All right. Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? Any questions, comments? It's getting dark over here. Let me know. What do you guys think?
Which we call them antennas, let's say so, and made of conductive material fashioned to attract the atmospheric etheric energy charge from.
All right, let me get into the aspect of free energy and dark matter, because a lot of people think using this material or mercury or this, it's free energy, right? Free energy is as simple as dark matter. Free energy is as simple as structures, just the core structures. What we live in is literally a structural foundation, because there's different physical attributes to everything. Gases, quote unquote solids, which isn't really quote unquote solids, different material in general. Everything has its own different frequency. Dark matter itself, now, that has its own frequency. Dark matter, i.e. the black hole or the black holes in front of us, because that's what we really live in, is interacting with every dimension, from this dimension to the next dimension, to the outer layer dimension, back and forth. The dark matter is where the atoms, the ions, Adam and Eve, atom, from the ether energy, from the dark matter that is all around us, communicates at a powerful level beyond our comprehension. And what does that sound like to you? Sounds like God, as many would call it. Sounds like divine. Sounds like true, limitless potential of being. And I'm breathing into that every moment, every second, every conscious breath, every unconscious breath. That is one of the biggest awakenings I've ever had in doing darkroom therapy for 30 days. That was like one of the biggest I've ever had. One of the biggest aha moments I've ever had. Cosmic consciousness, golden ratio. Oh, you got it right on the golden ratio. Keyword golden ratio. Gold holds electricity as well. Now, I'm not just talking about the bars. I'm not just talking about the metal. I'm talking about the etheric, sacred, geometric pattern it has stemmed from, hitting every dimensional experience that we get to have. that we're allowed to have. Jeez. I love to picture in my mind's eye creating on those structures. Exactly. Your mind is connected to the dark matter. Hence, scalar. That's why thoughts hold gravity. Did you not hear? Thoughts hold gravity. So they're a thing. You experience a thing in many different layers of this human experience. Starting with one of the foundations of that experience is the breath. The breath is part of that experience. Hence, the breath in itself is scalar. The breath is a scalar device. The breath allows you to experience every dimensional slice of what we call life. Whew. The breath is a scalar connection. The breath is what got me to share the different resonance of what the breath provides in many different layers of physicality. I blow intention into this. I breathe intention into this. We all do. And that's a big responsibility, because you're literally breathing life into whatever you deem life. It's a big responsibility we have as human beings, soul beings, liquid beings, the earth beings. That's all of us, because you can find everything made in the universe in us. So they go hand in hand. Is it choppy? Can you guys still hear me? Yeah. He measures the atmospheric energy in the room. It's a thing. It really is a thing. It really is a thing. It definitely is. So guys, if you did not see that mango experiment we did with the scalar, definitely check it out. We're doing one with roses, and I can't wait to share with you guys a time lapse of the mango. It was really Jen's idea. She's like, I just felt called to. And listen, she doesn't even realize when she catches herself. She literally said, yeah, I've been talking with the scalar. And I'm like, it just slips off. It just slips off her tongue like it's normal. It just slips. Yo, that's why she's Mrs. Airbender. But yeah, listen, it correlates with what I've been saying, and I'll keep on saying till I'm whatever years old, till the infinite possibilities, right? And it's really good. Not even good. Forget that. Beyond the aspect of understanding what good really is, right? It is imperative we understand that it's better to be grateful as much as possible for the breath of life than not grateful enough for the breath of life. And I'm gonna mic drop it there with a couple breaths. Thank you all for tapping in. If you found value in this, share the conscious breath. And yeah, the scalar info articles. I'm also going to start putting videos that is related to scalar in general that I find very fascinating, and direct connection to the focus that we all are learning. And scalar is just a beautiful thing that I can dissect, because it's not just a future, it is called ancient future, because our ancestors were clearly doing this. You saw how the dust particles in the old church was toxic as hell, but the gold, the nano the nano world will open up a lot of people's eyes, because because this is another particle, but in a small fraction, but you start to learn how big that has an effect on the environment. Wild. So I'll say this. I'm definitely going to add a playlist to the scalar articles, and you can find the scalar articles and videos on here on the product page of the scalar. All right. So it's there in the description info, and it's updated weekly, okay? Weekly, and almost every day. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, just being privileged, keyword privilege, because scalar will help us not just unite ourselves, but also unite animals, unite everything we could ever breathe life in the aspect of imagination into, in the aspect of harmonizing. Keyword harmonizing. Key thing. So I thank you all for sharing the breath of life, breathing life into this co-creation we are utilizing, and breathing more life into the momentum of sharing this type of knowledge, so we can help a lot of people in every race, in every state of mind. Keyword, in every state of mind. The breath is there in every state of mind. The breath is right there in every state of mind. And what are thoughts? Thoughts are scalar. Mic drop. Let's take a couple breaths in. And with that breath, may you receive what your body needs in this exact moment in time. Thank you all for sharing the breath. Peace and harmony.